Welcome to the bright side of 50. Hey, y'all. Hey, welcome to another episode of the bright side of 50 with Carla Palmer. Cheers. I know it's the top of the week, but cheers. And the reason why I'm saying cheers is because I want to talk to you a little bit. This is going to be fairly quick, but a little bit about our drinks. And if you're not a drinker, then this is probably not for you. But I want to talk about the calories that many of us are drinking. And the reason why I'm talking about this, one, is because I have really cut back on the amount of drinks that I've been having each week. And I feel like it's working a little bit better for my body as I have entered into these 50s. I'll be 53 in October. And I can tell you that alcohol is definitely not my friend. Now, I've always known it wasn't my friend. I've always known that, but I've always said, hey, I just want to enjoy my life. Maybe I won't do it so much, but I really enjoy my wine and I don't want to give up my wine. So that's going to be the last thing to go, if ever. Well, now I'm realizing that it definitely needs to cut back even more because this weight is just not coming off. And I really don't eat a whole lot of food. Um, and I also, like I said, I've been cutting back on my alcohol. And while I haven't seen a significant decrease in my weight, I do feel better. And I think if I continue on the track that I'm going with less alcohol consumption during the week and the week on the weekends, then I think I will eventually start to see some of my weight dropping and I will eventually start to see some of this tire around my belly, the visceral fat. I think I will start to see it leaving as well. I also need to work on my intake of pastries because I have been saying yes to pastries at work. And that is not a good look for the body, not for my 52-year-old body. They just don't work anymore. Those things that we did in our 30s and sometimes even in our 40s, things are just changing. And so I have to be mindful of that. So I just want to give a quick rundown of some of the calories that are in a lot of our favorite drinks. I don't know if people drink beer, but if you do drink beer, just know that it's about 153 calories in your beer. That's for one glass of beer. If you have gin, rum, vodka, whiskey, or tequila, and I know people like to do shots, so 1.5 ounces, that's 97 calories. So be mindful if you're doing shots and you're doing rounds with an S of shots that you're just tossing back almost 100 calories per shot. So be mindful of that. And honestly, in midlife, do we still need to be taking shots? I can tell you, I've never been a shot girl. I've done shots maybe twice in my life, and it's just not a thing for me. I like to get a drink and just sit there and enjoy my drink. I'm not taking shots to get uh high, or I'm sorry, to get drunk, to get super faded. Like that's just kind of what I see shots as. Now, I do understand that I do get intoxicated when I'm drinking wine. That's what happens, but it's like a gradual thing and I know, when to stop and I feel like I can just control things a little bit better than me taking and downing shots. That's just not my thing. Anybody knows me, they know that when it's shot time, Carla's either going to have a soda or some juice, or I'm going to toss my little wine glass back just a tad and pretend that I'm doing shots with folks. But shots is just not, it's not your girl's thing. So not doing shots. So about 97 calories for the gin, rum, vodka, and whiskey and tequila, 1.5 ounces. For brandy and cognac, 1.5 ounces is about the same. So a 5-ounce glass of wine. Now, this is really what I want to focus on for us ladies who love our wine time with our girlfriends and sometimes on a date. Or sometimes we're just doing it at home at the end of the day because we feel like we need something to help us wind down. And sometimes we just wind down all throughout the evening. And we don't really realize that one, we are pouring too much wine in the glass and calling it a glass. A 5-ounce pour is not pouring wine to the top of your glass. That's not 5 ounces. Okay, that's more like 10 ounces. That's more like 2 glasses. So let's just keep in mind when we're pouring that wine at the end of the night, that, we want to pour 5 ounces so that we can continue to measure and really be cognizant of how much we are taking in. So, one 5 ounce glass of red wine is 130 calories. 5 ounce glass of white wine is about 125. Now, those kind of go up and down depending on the grape, but on average, this is about it. So it looks like the red wine is a little bit more in calories than the white wine, but give or take, they're pretty close. So be mindful of your pour. Don't be heavy pour. Be mindful of that. 5 ounces is 1 glass of wine. So I know we get with our girlfriends and we don't want to keep getting up and going and getting more wine. We want to just get together, sit down, pour a big glass, and then you go get another big glass, and then maybe you get one more big glass. And then by the end of the night, you don't even realize that you've had a whole bottle of wine. Because if you pour to the rim of a big wine glass 2 times, you've almost, and maybe you have, drank a whole bottle of wine. And then let's not even talk about going and getting in the car and driving. Let's not even talk about that. I'm probably gonna do a separate episode on getting in the car and driving when we are intoxicated. And yes, a glass of wine, you have wine in your system, right? That's enough to get you in trouble. So if you get pulled over. And let's just talk about like just being clear in our minds, being behind the wheel on the road. There are other people that we need to be concerned about. So, like I said, we won't get all into it right here, but I have a friend who lost her siblings. She lost two sisters. They were together and they were killed by a drunk driver. I think the girl was like 21 and her alcohol level was beyond the limit, way beyond. But anyway, she lost two sisters, and so she's really on this journey, to really help people understand like how serious it is when you get behind the wheel and you drive when you've had some alcohol in your system. And so she wants people to really think twice about that and really start to use these services that are available for us to get home. Now you've even got the vehicles that drive without a driver, and a lot of people are saying, oh, I think that's safer. Now, for me, I'm not ready to get in that car yet without the driver, but there are things in place and people in place to help you get home safely if you've had too much to drink. All right, let's get through it. Okay, sake and a traditional martini, they are about 125 calories. Um, and then we're going to get to our margaritas. So, look, I love a good margarita, but we all know a margarita, listen, especially if you start to put stuff around the rim and all of that, it gets you anywhere between 220 to 300 calories. Now imagine having two margaritas. That's 600 calories if you get it with the works. Okay? So these things are just nice to have in the back of our minds when we're ordering and when we're, with the girlfriends or, on a date and we're tossing things back. We just need to know what we're doing. A mojito, not so bad, about 143 calories. And then you have the whiskey sour, 160. Pina colada. This one's one of the worst. I don't know if anybody still drinks pina colada, but if you do, please know that you're drinking about 380 calories for one pina colada. That's a lot. So I think that's a drink that we can just let it be, and we don't need to get that. Um, the other thing that rum and coke, 200 calories. And then I want to get to the mimosas. And the reason why I want to get to the mimosas is because, y'all, we love a good brunch, okay? We love a good brunch. We love a good bottomless mimosas brunch. I too love a good bottomless mimosa brunch. But listen, if you're sitting there for an hour and a half or you're sitting there for 2 hours, some places will let you stay for 2 hours. Just think about that, right? It's a little glass. You don't think it's much. And they just come and they just keep pouring. And they have all these different fun flavors to choose from. And by the time you are finished, you've had about 3 to 5. Some people have had more, but 3 to 5 on average mimosas. Those are 75 calories each. Not to mention, you're getting in your car and you're driving home. or wherever you're going. You're getting in your car. I've watched people get up from the table, go to the valet, get their car, and get in it and drive home. Now you go stumbling in the house and you're wondering hours later, how did I get home? You got home behind the wheel of your car. You got home behind the wheel of your car. So again, like I don't want to harp on the driving while intoxicated. We've all done it. But that's crazy, right? You've had like 3 to 5 drinks, some people, like I said, even more, and we're getting in a car and we're driving home. Okay, but we're focusing on calories today. So 75 times 3 or 5 or however many mimosas you've had, that's a lot of dang calories. Okay. So they consider heavy drinking 8 or more glasses per week of alcoholic beverages. So heavy drinking leads to being an alcoholic, for those of you who don't know. So 8 glasses per week. That means you're having probably like, one a day, one or more a day. And so just keep that in the back of your mind. Like, how many glasses am I going to allow myself to have this week? Maybe it's 3, or maybe it's 4, and we're doing 2 on Friday and 2 on Sunday, or 1 on Friday, 1 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday, whatever that looks like for you. I think it's nice to get, keep it top of mind where our limits are and setting those limits and boundaries when it comes to alcohol, and really setting the boundary of getting in your car and driving after you've had these drinks. The other thing that I want to say about mindful consumption of alcohol, especially as women in midlife, we all know that menopause symptoms, some of those are, it's really hard to sleep. It's really hard to get a good night's sleep, right? And when we think of, managing our weight and exercising, all of those things, right? You have to get good sleep in order for those things to be effective. So it says that alcohol impairs your sleep. It can impair your sleep. It reduces the amount of REM sleep, which is that deep sleep, that sleep where you're having your dreams. It's the most restorative part of the sleep cycle. So if it's impairing that, if it's impacting that, that's a reason in itself to say, you know what, I think I need to cut back on the alcohol, because we don't want to be getting a low quality of sleep. We've got things to do. We got businesses to run. We got exercises to do. We got clothes we need to fit in, right? We've got clarity that we need to have in our minds while we're building our businesses or being leaders in our roles at work, or whatever it is that we're doing to make life better for ourselves. We want to have a clear mind while we are doing that. And we don't want that wine and those alcoholic beverages to get into our communication pathways, because that's what it says here. It changes our mood, our behavior, and it also makes it harder to think clearly. That's not just when you're drinking, that's also some of the remnants the next day, or the next morning, when it comes to us being able to operate and function at a high quality so that we can get the things done that we need to get done. So this is about, yes, drinking your calories and being mindful of that, but it's also about being mindful of our health and our ability to operate in the world at our highest ability to function. And if it's going to be impaired by drinking, then maybe we need to rethink drinking. Maybe we need to rethink drinking, or maybe we need to at least put some limits and boundaries in place when it comes to the amount of alcohol we are allowing ourselves to drink. The last thing I want to say is, it says that you should stop drinking 4 hours before heading off to bed, because it at least gives you some time to let that alcohol settle. I mean, I don't really know. I'm not a doctor, but that was one of the notes that I put here, is that you should stop drinking at least 4 hours before you head off to bed. So if you're going to go to bed at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock, you should cut off the alcohol. We should cut off the alcohol. I like to sometimes say we, so that you know that I'm not preaching to you, because these messages are for all of us. Because as I always say, we're all in this thing together. We're all trying to do better together. We're all trying to have have the highest quality of life and evolve and grow together. And the way that we do that is thinking about things like this. And the way that I allow you to know that we're in this together and I'm not preaching at you or to you is when I say we. So we need to cut that alcohol off at about 6 or 7 if we're going to bed, at 10 or 11. And we should be trying to get like 8 hours of sleep. We should be trying to get 8 hours of sleep. Now, there is an episode that I did with my friend Shauna Reed. She is an LCSW. She's an amazing, brilliant woman. And she did a whole segment on the bright side of 50 with me. And she talked about the importance of getting good sleep. So I will put the link down below so that you can click on that if you want to hear more about, your sleep and how, getting good sleep is so important and why. And so she lays out all the reasons why we should be focused on getting some really good sleep. All right. So that's the episode that I wanted to do. I hope that it was something that you can use, something that will, make you think a little bit, when you're hanging out with your friends or you're at dinner or wherever the alcohol is, will, help us think about the choices that we make, whether we choose to get one drink or two drinks, or whether we decline the opportunity to drink and get something else. I love a good Arnold Palmer. Listen, I love a good Arnold Palmer. When the lemonade and the tea, the balance is just right. That sucker is good. I also love a good Shirley Temple. Now that's on the sweeter side, but I love a good Shirley Temple. And sometimes when I'm out with my son, he doesn't drink. It's kind of cool to see him with his little Shirley Temple, and he's just confident and cool and fine with being a 24-year-old who doesn't drink alcohol. And I really admire that about him. And so I think I'm going to try to make it a point. Let me not say that. I was about to say I'm going to make it a point to get Shirley Temples with my son, but I am not going to make it a point to do that. I'm not even going to sit up here and tell that lie. But I do admire that he makes the choice not to drink, and he is fine drinking his Shirley Temple and feels very confident doing that around whomever. So anyway, I will talk to you guys next time. Thank you for being here on the bright side of 50 with Carla Palmer. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.